To myself, I was thinking, this is odd. Maybe one guy was shooting. They were trying to defend themselves with a machete. I don't know. You try to figure out what went on. I never did find out what happened there.
What was the worst thing you've ever seen?
Well, I'm sure there's some really bad ones out there that I haven't ever seen. But in my business, I don't know whether it was the worst one that I've ever seen or it just brought memories back of, like, Charles Manson. It was in a motel room, and a gentleman cut his wrist. He was on a drug high. And there wasn't one place in this efficiency motel room that did not have blood on it. He wrote all over the doors. He wrote on the walls, you offended my people. He took money and he plastered it all over the walls with blood. I had a glass on a counter and it had blood in it. No, I don't know, probably 1 inch to 2 inches thick. It was inside the refrigerator, inside the stove, inside the shower stalls. He flipped all the furniture over. It was in the air conditioning unit. It was everywhere. I have no idea what this guy wrote, but it was from the top of the door all the way down to the bottom of the door, whatever was written there, but it was hard to tell because the door was like blue, and this was written obviously in blood, and it faded in, so it was hard to see. But, oh my God, how one person could have that much blood for 3 rooms that were big rooms. I said, I can't believe it. I think he really killed somebody, and then he cut his wrist and made it look like he was committing suicide. I still think that, but they told me no. But I still think that. I just don't know how one person could have that much blood in them. It's amazing. Are you going to get sick? Would you like me to hire you? Because you look like you'd like to do this.
Well, what makes a good employee? Would I be a good employee?
I don't know. Can you stand putting a mask on? Can you stand the sight of blood? Can you deal with those elements?
I don't know.
You know anything about cleaning? Do I have to train you? Do I have to train you to do everything? Okay. We have to send you out and you have to get your series of vaccinations. I have to have a physical on you so that I know what kind of condition you're in. Do you have any psychological problems?
Many.
Okay, well, I can't hire you. I'm sorry. And then my biggie is, are you honest? That's big for me. Are you honest? Because we're into a lot of personal belongings and separating them so that they can go back to the family, or sometimes you're cleaning them and disinfecting them. I need to know you can be trusted, but it's still kind of a weird thing when you're going through people's personal belongings because everybody has a little bit of a second life. A normal husband and wife, let's say, for instance, have their own sexual identities in their married life. Maybe they were swingers and they had photographs, and they're both killed. And the children said, there's a box, and in the box there's photographs and so on and so forth, and we'd like to have those. There's things in there that you feel would be inappropriate for that child to see. Do you put them aside? It's sometimes very touchy and hard. You're obviously not going to throw them away. It's personal items that belong to that family, but it's a touchy situation. You're peering into somebody's private life. That makes you uncomfortable. That makes me a little uncomfortable. I'm a little naive. I'm a lot naive. I'm not as naive as I used to be, but anyway. There were photographs and different things that I'm sure that this young man wouldn't want his mother to see. And he overdosed. There were spent needles all over the place. I went in the closet to pick up some of the needles, and I looked up and I saw like leather vests and the collars with the studs around it and a couple whips. I was uncomfortable with it. Of course, I was stupid. I didn't know what it was for. And then I went, whoa. You know, that's a little ticklish situation because somebody, after you're all done, has to come in there. You try to have discretion with everything that you do. But I was like, whoa. I never saw this stuff before. And then sometimes you come across things, which is the reverse, that you think that maybe you should hang on to it because it might be something that they'd like to see later on, and they just want it gone. That's the sensitive area for me. Actually cleaning and dealing with the contaminants doesn't bother me at all. It's a human element that bothers me a little bit.
So in the swingers case, did you tell?
No. Everything was just put back and aside. They wanted me to bring it out, and I didn't.
Aw. You're a romantic.
Not a romantic. I'm just a realist. I wouldn't want that. I am very sensitive to people's feelings. That's why I try not to get emotionally involved. My job is not to be emotionally involved. My job is to clean up the problem that's there and make it a safe environment and take the traumatic aspect away from the families. We've had incidents where people have passed away and there's been animals in the house and they've been in there for a long period of time with these animals. What's the natural instinct for an animal to do when it needs to eat? It eats. Fido was home and Fido was hungry and Fido had nothing else to eat. The dog needed food.
If Fido eats you, does that mean that Fido doesn't love you?
No. It may be domesticated, but it's an animal. And they go back to their natural instincts. The first couple of times it happened, I didn't recognize it. I just couldn't figure out what it was. In fact, on the very first time it ever happened, I thought it was an Angora sweater. And as I was moving around, I realized that it was actually scalp. For some reason, the hair just had a weird texture to it. I don't know why. If it was a finger and the thing was still intact and hadn't decayed to a certain point, okay, you would recognize it as a finger. But when an animal is eating something and has only eaten a part of it and the balance remains, it's going to become nondescript. You're not going to be able to say, oh, well, that must have been a kidney or that must have been a finger. You just know that there was an animal there and that the person was there and the natural instinct of the animal took over. It's nothing amazing. It's life. It's nature. It's what happens. That issue is devastating to a family. To me, it seems like it would be, I mean, I never thought of it until it happened, but it seems like it would be a normal state of affairs.
So you're not the person who has to say, bad dog.
No. Well, one time,